Hello and welcome to Rolling with Previews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the farmingest farmhand there is,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a preview of Roll on the Range. Now this is a preview that we got from 25th Century Games. They reached out to us, and one reason why we were extra interested in this is it's designed by Danny Devine.
It is indeed.
Now, we're friends with him, and we have play-tested games of his before, and do follow all his designs. Just absolutely love his little clever twists.
Yes.
That seem so simple, but feel innovative at the same time.
Very, very clever.
Yeah, so happy to see actually that in this game.
Right.
Now, tell us...
Oh, yeah.
Well, you want to tell us a bit more about this game?
Yes, let me tell you a bit more. Roll on the Range is a print-and-play, roll-and-draw experience that simulates working on a ranch. Throughout the game, players will draft dice, taking actions to fill in various aspects of their player sheet, such as drawing animals, fencing them in, and winning prizes at the state fair. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins. So let's talk about how this plays at 2 players.
So it is important that the change for a 2-player game is simply the number of dice used.
Right.
It's not a question of whether or not you need a bot or anything. Although there might be something in the solo. We haven't looked at
We have not played solo, but for 2 players, it's just, it's 1 die plus 2 per player. So you would need 5 dice.
Yes.
And of course, a sheet for each player and a pencil or some sort of writing utensil.
Right.
Otherwise, for 2 players, you do probably get more action card cycling. Because there's fewer dice, they tend to, at least in our experiences, clump a bit more. So you're going to have dice on fewer cards, which means more of the cards will rotate to the beginning, but you'll have more of a split between them that will rotate more.
Yeah, so the mechanism she's talking about is we'll roll the dice and gather up all like numbers. Then the lowest numbers get put on these 6 cards. Any card that doesn't get a die gets moved to the front so that it will get dice on the next round.
Yes.
Which gives us that dynamic action, and that's what I think is the coolest part of this thing. So, of course, more dice means more cards and more numbers might show up. So if you have numbers 1 through 6, cards aren't moving.
Yeah, at 4 players, you're looking at 9 dice?
Yeah.
So it is more likely you're going to have 1 through 6 represented, which means the order in which the dice are the cards won't change, which also means the value of those cards won't change, which could be good for some people, but bad for others. I think it's more dynamic when it moves more.
Yes, so therefore I would push it for a 2-player game.
Yeah, it might be a little better on that aspect at 2 players. We have not yet had a chance to play it 4 players.
Yes.
The other thing is it's easier to gauge what the other person's doing when you only have one other person, especially because this is a drafting game. You, like all drafting games actually, you greatly affect what the person after you is going to take. Of course, that is also true vice versa.
And you could psych yourself out doing that too.
Yes. But with only one person, it's easier to see what they're going to do so that you might choose a die or something to prevent something good for them happening if it still also helps for you. I don't think you're ever going to really want to 100% take an action that won't help you at all.
Right.
You're still going to want to focus on what's going to help you the most. But when you have 2 equal actions and one of them's going to hurt your opponent more, yeah, you're going to do that.
Right.
You just are.
And that's why I think it leads to what I'd call the Princess Bride Poison Cup scenario, where you're starting to look at the decisions as like, well, I can't take the one in front of me because of what I know about you, so therefore I clearly can't take the one in front of me. And like, okay, you've made your decision. Not in the least. And then you just go through it, and then that's where I say you psych yourself out.
Yeah, you can psych yourself out.
I did that in the game we played.
Yes. So if you want to see us psyching ourselves out and doing some of these moments, do watch our full playthrough if you're inclined to watch such a thing.
Yeah.
I hope it's entertaining. All right. I think that is pretty much it for the 2-player experience. So let's go on to accessibility. So one of the nice things about this being a print and play, the sheet is larger. So that is one of the biggest complaints we have about a lot of produced, where you get it in a box.
Yeah.
A lot of them try to put it in a small box as possible.
Here's 50 sheets, and it's on a little postage stamp size page, and you're like, I have to put a 3-digit number in that little. I don't know.
So some roll and writes can get to be pretty small. The other really nice thing about it being print and play, if even because I printed it out on a 8.5 by 11 sheet. If that is even not large enough for you, if you have a printer or can go to a printer that can print it 11 by 17 or something larger than that, or you can also play it digitally, and in that environment you can zoom in and out as you need to. So there's definitely a lot of pros for this type of accessibility, although then the accessibility issue for a con is if you don't have access to a printer, but then again you could try it digitally.
Yeah.
So all the iconography is very distinct, very clear. And for people like me, it's very reminiscent of a previous game that Danny designed, Harvest Dice, where you might get your chickens and carrots confused. Yeah.
Although the cute thing about that one, it had Pip the pig.
Yeah, I did like Pip the pig. That was really
giant
cute.
meeple.
Yeah, that was cute. All right. Also, as much as it's a draw, you only really need to draw the shapes, and they're very distinct. You don't have to go through and do all the details. I tried a couple of times, but because we were using the dry erase pens, those tips are not all that precise. Much easier, just draw triangle, square, circle, and a squiggly circle thing for sheep. Yeah, it's really simple. So don't be intimidated by the whole draw, because they keep it simple to make it easy.
Now, of course, the more artistic of you can go to town.
Go to town. It's also very easy to learn and teach.
Yes. We did so.
We did so. So watch our how to play or playthrough. That does teach it.
Yes, as much of it as you want, because it is a very long video.
Right. We keep it to the front. So if you just want to know how it plays
and how the setup is
and how the setup works, just watch the beginning part of when it gets into the gameplay. That beginning part will tell you more about it. And then lastly, for those who might be thinking, well, it's a roll and write, so my hands are going to cramp all the time. This is going to be a lot to do. Comparatively to other roll and writes, this doesn't require a whole lot from you, as long as you're not also doing a sheet for someone else like I do. Again, watch our how to play. You'll see this is how we play roll and writes. I'm doing everything.
Well, we're very cognizant of that, because you do have to operate my sheet as well as yours.
Yes.
So therefore, we are a bit more aware of how much this is actually doing, and this is a low threshold.
Oh yeah, it's no Hadrian's Wall. It's not even Three Sisters. There are times I can't play those games because my hands cramp, and I'm like, I can't hold a pen or pencil that long to play that, because I have to fill in both sheets.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that covers accessibility. So let's go over what we like and don't like. And Will, you really like that Card River, and so do I.
That is such an interesting way to ensure that choices keep staying fresh.
Yes.
While at the same time offering different choices as the game moves on, because, I mean, one round we had only 2 cards that had dice. That means 4 cards move over, dynamically shifting everything.
And all of a sudden, all the pigs you wanted on 6 are now 4s, and you're like, dang it, I don't have one on 5 to connect the 2. So do I risk putting my pigs on 4? Am I ever going to get a pig on 5 so that they're a group? So it's very engaging and dynamic, and I think that is just super clever. It's a little fiddly to have to constantly pick up those cards, put them on the left to make sure they're staying in the right order.
Yes.
But I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth.
Fortunately, it's not too bad, because it's only 6 cards.
It's only 6 cards.
It'd be a little bit different if you had,
More.
a much larger river of cards.
Yeah. And overall, this is a very light experience, but it has meat on it, and very meaningful choices between the dice, because there's a lot of things you can do with one die. I mean, you have it associated with an action, right? So you're like taking a pig and you're putting it in the 3 column, but you can also use that die as a coin. So you could put that in the investment. Well, then the investment, maybe then you go to the state fair, because you didn't want a pig, but you go to the state fair, you fill in the state fair bubbles, you get a baby, but you really needed a cow baby. Do they have?
Calves.
Cow baby, calves.
Cow baby.
And the nice thing about that is you put it wherever you want, and you put it on somewhere that has a coin. It doesn't, and then you get an investment. That loop of comboing doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super fun. Meaningful. Oh, drafting. So this is a drafting game. You're either going to like drafting, you're not going to like drafting. This is kind of in the middle. Most of the time, you're still going to be doing stuff that's good for you, and most of the time, you will have choices that are good for you. But there will be points where you probably will consider what the next person's going to do and draft something that maybe they want.
Right.
And that's going to impact how much you don't like that aspect of drafting. Because I do know there's people that absolutely hate drafting.
Yes. And that, like she said, the situation does come up. Of course, where it actually makes the biggest impact is the market.
Yes.
And that just, you have how many chickens? And like, well, I don't want you to have chickens.
Right.
So I'm going to take the chicken die, burn it to do something else because the other die doesn't help me anyway.
Right. So that's it. Usually you're making a choice between relatively equivalent outcomes for you. So you want to do one that is going to have a secondary benefit of denying. Most of the time it's a denial to the other player.
Yeah.
You're not actively hurting them. It's you're denying. But that's what drafting does.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything we like and don't like. So how it rolled for us.
Okay, so for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, and see what it rolled for us after we combine those numbers. Sarah, what did Roll on the Range roll for you?
It rolled a 6. I can't find any fault. I think I'll always be up for playing. Well, if I'm having a bad hand day, but even then, this game doesn't require a whole lot from me. So I'd have to be having like a lot of hand pain to not want to. That's the thing, I'll still want to play it. So maybe I'll find a digital way so it would take less work. But I think it's super clever and super fun. And yeah.
Okay, for me, I feel bad because I'm giving it a 4.
Aww.
Now, I still agree with Sarah that this is a light, fun game, easy to play. It's a breeze. It was a breath of fresh air. The issues that I see actually come into, I'm not sure you're going to have the same experience at all player counts. That's going to really throw a monkey at your wrench.
Yeah.
Because it's going to either mean the game might get a little too stagnant for you, or it could be a little too swingy. And finding the sweet spot might be a player count, and you may not have that player count consistently.
Yeah.
Another issue that I see, and this came from Harvest Dice, and this is essentially a spiritual successor to that. It's what I'd call, it's not like farm to table, but Danny's play to table series. This is definitely a step up from that.
Yes.
But even with that game, I found that after a number of plays back to back, and this is the type of game you can do that easily.
Yes.
I might get burned out on it real quick because it may start feeling like I'm doing the same stuff because it doesn't have the robustness that some of the bigger roll and writes that we've mentioned have.
True.
It's great in small doses and a lot of doses, but back-to-back doses may ruin it for you. And I would just be very prone to be doing that. So that's where I see just the areas in which that I'm worried about that it could be ruined for me.
And I can definitely see those. I also realize we hardly ever overplay a game, but there are people who will. So I guess that is definitely a caveat is don't overplay this, which could be very easy because it's also going to be highly affordable. Going on their previous Kickstarters with print and plays, this is not going to be a very expensive game to get.
I'd say the best way to set it up is if you get this one, also maybe get like their Roll and Frights.
Oh, yeah.
And then just start playing all through, because that's 3 other games.
True.
And then this one's thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
And then you're like shuffling them all around, and then you're always on your toes and always thinking of something different.
Yeah, I think this is best to be put into your cycle of print and play roll and writes. So like some people make binders of roll and writes. This would be a good one to put in there to then take out when you want to play it.
Yes, but 10 out of 12 is a spectacular score for
it's
such
still
a small.
Right. It's still a good score, and it's all going to be dependent on what you're looking for and your player count.
Yes.
So speaking of, let's go more specifically, who this is for. This is definitely going to be more your family weight game for casual gamers. It's a good filler for hardcore. And it's hard not to recommend it because it's such an easy game to have in your digital library. If you don't want to make a binder, you could do like I do. I just have a folder of roll and writes, and it's just...
How many games is that now?
I don't know, probably at least close to 50 roll and writes because they've had such an explosion on crowdfunding because they're so affordable and you can try so many different things and you can take risks and do quirky things. So I think it's great. So I guess that's for me is if you think this is a game at all that you're going to enjoy playing, it's not going to cost you much. Well, definitely less than a cup of coffee is nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So check out the crowdfunding platform. And if it's not on Kickstarter anymore, check out 25th Century Games.
Are they doing GameFound or?
No, they are doing
Kickstarter
actual Kickstarter for this one.
Okay.
Yep. So I guess we should just do a roundup. So conclusion.
Yes.
We do recommend this for 2 players.
Absolutely. In fact, I actually think it's best at 2 players just from what I've seen and can imagine might be the pitfalls of adding more players. Those extra dice could really gunk up the river that I absolutely love.
Right. And for accessibility, we definitely recommend it is one of the lighter, not light, but it is a lighter roll and write. It's not going to require a lot from you in any aspect. And it's digital, so it's just going to make that really accessible.
Yep.
So, and to reiterate, we gave it a 10 out of 12. So check out that Kickstarter.
All right. And that will do it for us. And Sarah.
Yes.
Is one of your cows called Baby Cow?
Probably. Because I'm not very creative when it comes to naming things.
What's that one? That was Baby Cow.
It's a Baby Cow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that one's Moo Cow.
Oh, dear. And we've been rolling with previews. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you. Because remember, he's rolling with you.